Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
We're going to get started. I just want you to know right up front that we have not figured out how to work the microphone. So the candidates and the moderator are going to speak in their best teacher voice, like this one. And hopefully you can hear in the back there. If you can't hear, just just say louder or something with your fingers.
Or try and move forward.
Or move forward now if you like. We are being filmed by Local Cable Access WOW, and so he has a really great microphone that will pick up voices, so I think that will be fine. So first of all, welcome, and thank you for coming out. Thank you to the candidates for being part of this today. We're going to start out with the Oregon Town Board candidates. We have here Steve Root, Phil Van Kampen, and Jason Marshall. Arlen Christensen declined to participate, so he is not here today. Some of you have written questions for the candidates, and at this point we're cutting off the town board candidate questions. If you have questions for village board or school board, we'll take those up a little later, so you still have a little bit of time to write those. Our moderator for today is Diane Martin-Liebert. She's from the town of Burke, and she is a member of the Dane County League of Women Voters. So she is not a member of the Oregon Area Progressives. We wanted to make sure that this was a neutral setting where all questions would have the opportunity to be posed. What questions does anybody from the audience have about the format at this point?
How long are they allowed to speak on each question?
So they will introduce themselves first. They have 1 minute for that. Then we'll have a minute for answering each question. The questions will be posed by the moderator, and then they'll have closing. I have my little signs up here, old-fashioned, and they know that. So I think without further ado, we'll turn it over to Diane, and we'll get started. Thanks again for coming.
I wasn't a teacher, so I don't know. Hopefully, I can speak loud enough. I don't have that teacher's voice. But I did raise sons, so that helps. So as I said, we're going to start with 1 minute with each candidate introducing themselves and telling us why they're running for this particular office. And we are starting with Steve.
Thank you. We've decided to stand up so you can possibly hear us even better. Hopefully that's good. My name is Steve Root. Penny and I moved to the town of Oregon in 1976, and we put 3 children through a great school system, and we really enjoyed that. I have a BS degree. I've worked for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for 34 years. After which I was a consultant for 11 years for a design engineering firm out of Dayton, Ohio. Since I've retired and I'm full-time with town board stuff, relaxation, grandkids, and traveling. I'm running for my 3rd term. I have been town board, Town of Oregon Park chairperson for over 29 years. And I've enjoyed doing that immensely. I'm a U.S. veteran, a Boy Scout leader for 10 years, and I'm a town representative for the town of Oregon Park, Anderson Park Friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Phil, your turn.
I'm Phil Van Kampen. My wife Liz and I and my son Jeff have lived in the town of Oregon since 2000. My son went through Oregon schools and is a student at UW-Milwaukee. My wife and I own a company in Pittsburgh. I'm a semi-retired. She still works because she likes to work. I've been on the board for 5 terms. This will be my 10 years. This will be my 6th term. On the board, I represent the town at the Dane County Towns Association. I'm the representative for the Pittsburgh Senior Center. I'm also on the Fire Commission and also chair of the Fire Commission. In the past, I served on the, via my position on the town board, I served on the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission and was also chair of the Regional Planning Commission for 1 year. Also served on the Belleville Fire Commission for a time. I I'm running for the board because I am out of time.
Thank you. Jason, your turn.
Hello, I'm Jason Marshall. Lifetime, lived in the township, I guess, for the life. With my significant other, Stacy, we got 2 daughters. Currently run and operate family business, farming, with Slash Trucking. We're pretty active in the FFAs and some of the younger Boy Scouts groups coming up through. We feel that's kind of important. Interested in, I'm not at any other boards like these gentlemen are. I'm kind of new to this. I just feel I'm at that age. I'm 44 years old. Would like to get a little more active and involved with the township.
Well, thank you. Okay, now the first question goes to Phil. Please comment on the status of efforts to improve Lincoln Road. Where do you stand, and when will it be completed?
The Lincoln Road is actually a village road in essence at this point. When the Bergamot was annexed, the agreement with the town was is that the village of Oregon would take over the maintenance and repair and upkeep to that road. So we've been working with the village and trying them to keep it up best they can. I will tell you that there is an agreement in place between Bergamot and the village and the town that once the Bergamot reaches a certain level of development, then the village and Bergamot will work together to rebuild that road. I can't tell you what exactly they will do, but I know the plan is to improve it given the amount of traffic that is on the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason?
There's not much I can say on it. I'm not, I guess, real familiar. I did understand that the village owned the road, and that's about all I can say on it.
Okay, well, thank you. Steve?
Yeah, I realize that Lincoln Road is in the shape that it's in because of the heavy traffic, the truck traffic, Bergamot growing, et cetera. And Phil explained it very well that the village's responsibility to oversee that road until Bergamot is at, I believe, 85% capacity. And then there's an arrangement to bring the road back up to standards that the township would accept and work with the village in making that happen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question goes to Jason. There are preliminary plans to connect the town park to Anderson Farm Park with a bike trail. Do you support this plan, and do you know of any other bike trails?
Yeah, I think that the township, there's getting to be more and more bikers around, and I think we need, yes, I support the bike trail, but on the same hand, I think we need to educate the bike riders and the rest of the community members so everybody can get along and make it work with the farmland that's going to be taken for the bike trails, so it works for both parties. I don't know of any other ones that are, currently in the works, but I think it's a good idea for both parties.
Well, thank you. Steve?
Presently, the Town of Oregon Park Committee is working on putting together a proposal to present to the town board a bike path that'll take people in and out of Shield subdivision and the surrounding area through the town park, down to Glenway, right on Glenway, and then left on Locust Grove. And then I have talked to Dane County and the Friends of Anderson Park about putting a hard surface trail coming out of the village, connecting with South Main Street, running along a trail that would go to the quarry road that exists now, and that would bring people in and out to support our parks and bringing people in to support the village in the form of bicycle recreation. transportation. Thank you. I support it, yeah.
Jason?
Yes, I do support that trail, and really Steve has been the driving force behind that, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the town. I'd also mention that the town was involved in the construction of the new trail that leads from Alpine Park out to Fish Hatchery. The town of Oregon did contribute a little bit to the construction of that trail. In addition, there are a number of us that have been working on ways to find a way to get that trail extended out to the Badger Trail, I think it's called, out on MM. We've been talking with some landowners. I know Steve's been working on it, and Jerry Bollig has also been involved with that. So, yes, I'm a big supporter of bike trails, and I'm hoping that we're able to make that next connection. At this time, I'd like to compliment Jerry Bollig, who got the Dane County to extend Fish Hatchery Road down to the end of the new bike trail, so that there's a bike lane from that trail up on Fish Hatchery Road. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Steve, you get the next question. Last year, the town chose to sever its contract with the village to police town roads. The Dane County Sheriff has taken over this function. What is your opinion about this decision, and would you revisit it?
Yeah, we would always consider revisiting it. We terminated the contract. We felt we weren't getting the service that we were paying for, and we could certainly revisit it. The county has stepped up their representation in the township, and I applaud them for that. And we realize there's some problems out there, and we're working on solving them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bill?
Thank you. Yes, we did have service with the village, but I don't honestly think we were invested enough money into it that it was really making much difference. They were very good when we asked them to concentrate on specific areas, but we haven't really had a lot of feedback lately anyway on particular issues in the town. If those do exist, we'd sure like to know about them. But the county has done a good job, and they are very quick to go out if we have a particular troublesome area, and do some enforcement. If there are town residents that feel that we need to step up in enforcement, I know that.
I concur with Phil on the county opt-out issue. We need to learn a lot more about that before we can make any kind of an opinion. Some of the concerns that we have are dollar sign concerns. Fire and EMS constantly costing more. That's a concern of the township. Senior center issue with the village of Brooklyn possibly dropping out, and that we need to offset for those costs. I think the senior center is extremely important. Obviously, the fire and EMS is extremely important also.
Jason, this one's yours. What is your position on efforts by the state to limit local control? To limit local control. The state effort to limit local control.
Well, I'm a little out of the loop here. I don't know a lot of, I guess I don't, I'm a little disadvantaged with these guys here, and they're doing a great job with the town. I'm not at enough of the board meetings to fully understand all of this. This is definitely a learning curve for me, and I have a lot of interest in learning on some of these topics, so that's all I can say.
Steve?
Repeat the question.
What is your position on efforts by the state to limit local control?
Well, anytime, from the township standpoint,
Yes.
and local control means a lot, and we feel that we have a better understanding of what's going on with local control and how we would like to have the township develop, et cetera. And we're not in favor of relinquishing local control.
Thank you. Bill?
I think, local control is good from some standpoints. I think that the state legislature has done some things that I don't necessarily agree with, where they've enacted ordinances of local control for specific areas and specific interests, and I think that's bad for everybody. And I would go back to the zoning issue. This legislation was passed just for Dane County, and Dane County is ripe for development. I think there are potential conflicts between towns and cities and villages because of this new ordinance, and I am actually quite concerned about it. But I am certainly in favor of local control as a general idea.
Okay, Steve, this is yours. Share your thoughts on how well the fire and EMS cooperative is working, and are there any changes you would like to see?
I think fire and EMS and cooperatives between the communities is working quite well. There are always some issues from a dollar sign standpoint, but my main concern, anytime we talk about fire and EMS, is getting what is required done to put out the emergency that they are going to go to. And this is our main effort to make sure that it's an ongoing continuance.
Bill?
I've been on the fire commission practically when I started on the board, and actually at that time there were a few rocky moments, but I really think that for the past 9 years plus it's been very good. We have very open communication. We have a very good group of people that are on the commission and on the joint board that run the fire department. With the new chief, I think we're in a very good position. So I think the fire department and the relationship between the municipalities that belong to the district has ever been as far as I can recall.
Okay,
Thank you.
Jason?
I don't really have a comment on that.
Okay. Bill, this one is yours. Closing statement? Okay. Bill, you start with closing statement.
Okay. As I was saying, I'm running for the, I'm running for the board because actually I very much enjoy the work. Carleen Fetchett actually encouraged me to run 10 years ago. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I do enjoy it very much. Local government is one-on-one government. I think people that know me have heard me say that many times, but really you're dealing with, if someone has an issue, you're generally dealing with that person. I think that's much different than state or on the national level. And many times you can work together, so it's a win-win for everybody, and it's a very enjoyable process. And I hope to have your vote in about 2 weeks. Thank you.
Like I said earlier, I guess I'm just at that age, and I think the town is definitely going in a good direction and has been. I'd like to see it continue going that way. I just really want to be a part of things, and I feel I can voice the opinion of a lot of people in the community with the communication I have with them currently. And I just look forward to learning more on some of these subjects and trying to do a good job for the town if I can get elected.
Yes, I feel very strongly about continuing this job. Board is willing. And partially because of the relationship that we have right now amongst our board members. We have a very cohesive group, and we're able to get a lot done. I have attended over 85% of the board meetings since 1982. I feel I know what's going on, and what it takes to maintain township for the betterment of the individuals that live there. The town's most important priority is to maintain a strong fire and EMS, as we indicated earlier. Strong relationship is needed with surrounding communities to maintain service with the senior center, and our seniors have learned to rely on that. Road maintenance throughout the seasons is also a priority that all can rely on for safe passage to and from work. The town's relationship with surrounding communities is extremely important in this day and age, and that maximum benefits for all of us maintained. We all need to work together to achieve the most benefit for all our citizens. I look forward to continued service in the town of Oregon and the surrounding communities if I'm reelected. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the candidates. I think they did a good job.
Thank you. So next we'll have the village board candidates.
If the mics are working now.
Yes, the mics are working now. Thank you guys.
Oh, you can hear me? Oh.
There's
an echo. Okay, you ready? Okay, this is the, where I'm asking questions to the village board candidates now. And we're gonna start with Doug, and you're going to give us, introduce yourself and tell us why you're running for the board.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Bredhauer. I live in the village and I've lived in the surrounding area for over 20 years. I'm married to Kate Bredhauer and have 3 kids, all of whom went to the Oregon school system. I'm 55 years of age. I'm still working. I have 2 jobs. I work as a substitute teacher at the Oregon School District, which is maybe a job and a half actually. And also I work as a contractor with the Department of Administration. I do planning, environmental planning for the state's housing programs. So I've now completed almost my first full 2-year term as a trustee for the Village of Oregon and running for a 2nd term. I'm running for the board because I enjoy problem solving and I like to see systems work better by helping people who are involved with governmental systems.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Boudreau, and I am 48 years old. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and a graduate of UW Milwaukee. I have my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I have 2 kids, Samantha and Austin. Austin's 21, Samantha's 25. And my wife Stacy and I have lived in the Village of Oregon for the last 11 years. Personally, I'm passionate about people, and I find that the areas of hunger and housing are the 2 areas that I'm most interested in. And I've been on the village board now for the last 2 years, trying to work in ways to help assist the village and private development create an economy that can support the needs of the community in the Village of Oregon. As a board member, I'm also on the Fire EMS Commission. I'm on the Oregon Cable Access Commission, Public Works and Finance, and privately I volunteer for several community nonprofits to include Habitat for Humanity, Oregon Community Resource Network, and several others.
Okay, thank you. Phil?
Good afternoon, my name is Phil Harms. I'm running again for the village board because I was encouraged from friends and folks that I know within the village. I'm a building contractor. I've done a lot of work in the area over the last 40 years. I've known a lot of people. In fact, I built Steve and Penny Rook's house. Been back several times to put additions onto it. And the big thing I'm hearing from my folks is encouraged. They're not comfortable with the board as it is right now. There's nobody there questioning why some of the money is being spent where it is. They look at their taxes and they say, well, what did I gain from the last year within the village? My tax rate went up 4%, and I know I spent $200,000 for legal fees for the police chief and the bike trail and what have you, but my clock is running out. Thank you.
Okay, Jerry?
Hi everyone, I'm Jerry Bollig. I'm a lifelong resident of the area. I was raised in the township and moved into the village when I was 15 years old, and I'm still here. I made my living as a governmental accountant for 36 years. I retired, and I have been on the village board for 14 years. I've been a county board member for 4 years. I've served on every village committee that we have, the major ones. And right now I'm on the zoning committee for the county. I'm running because I feel Oregon offers an excellent lifestyle to our residents. It's my home. I'll be here. I'll be here a lot longer. I'm retired. I'm retired. I have the time to give back to my community. I want to preserve the excellent quality of life that I have, and I want to do everything I can to make it better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first question here goes to Jeff. Could you explain TIF and how its use is determined by the board?
So TIF funding it's a way for the public to invest in private development to make it affordable and able to happen. There's a specific test that's required for TIF funding that's called the but-for test. And in a nutshell, what that means is but for tax assistance, this project would not be able to happen because private development couldn't make it cash flow well enough, for example. So we're able to invest in the project alongside the developer to grow the tax base in the village of Oregon. And it's used very restrictively, while we take it very seriously when we're asked to provide TIF assistance. We study it in detail to make sure that it's the right project and that it passes the but-for test and that it's actually going to be an add value to the community.
Okay, thank you. Bill?
TIF is easy to explain in dollars and cents. If a piece of land has a tax value of, say, $7,000, and the additional building that would be put on that is going to be worth $100,000, the tax difference between the $6,000 and the $100,000 becomes TIF available. The county, the school district, the township, if they're involved, have to forego that additional tax going forward. And that money, the additional tax, because the building's put up, is worth, say, $94,000 more, that additional money is used to pay back the TIF. So it's not a gift. It may take 10, 15, or 20 years to get the money back, but what that's done, once that TIF is done, the money goes forward as a profit towards the municipalities that were involved initially. Does that make sense?
Jerry?
Thank you. I'm going to stress something Phil just touched on, and that's the fact that it's not a gift, it's a loan, and it is going to be repaid. And it's a misconception that I hear all too often, so that's why I'm repeating it. But typically, we proceed very cautiously and very carefully when we award TIF money to a developer. A typical process for that is the developer will approach the village. He'll start with the administrator who will interview him. And if the administrator feels it has merit, then he'll get the other staff involved, and they'll have another meeting with the staff. And if it's still a go, we'll contact our TIFing consultant, and he'll run the numbers on whether he thinks it's viable or not, and return it to staff. And if staff, if it's still a thumbs up, then it'll come to the board. It's a very good method for enhancing the business community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
There's not a lot I can add to the explanation that's been given for TIF. I would say, though, that the integrity of the process is very important to the board because a lot of the project proposals that the village has gotten in recent months and perhaps years have had a TIF request. So it's important to apply the test, the but-for test, to make sure that the funding that's being requested is absolutely essential and can't come from some other source. So it's been said by people that it's become expected that small businesses or large businesses who want to relocate in a particular area want the TIF money to help reduce the cost for development. So it's part of the process to do a rigorous analysis to make sure that the requests are kept to what would be called the but-for test.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Phil, you get this question.
Make it easy.
Tell us your vision for the civic campus.
Civic campus vision. The last month, that's changed drastically with the Veneer Mortensen proposal for the downtown with a 16,000 square foot first floor available to us. Senior Center might move over there, Village Hall could move over there. I don't envision personally the Village Hall's changing. I don't see money being spent on a new Village Hall. Granted, there's problems with the air conditioning and the heating here because the building's over about 75 years old, but I think that can be rectified. The Senior Center needs more space according to the study that we've seen. The library needs about triple in size. There was concerns way back that when Fitchburg opened their new library, that we would lose business, and as it's progressed, that's not happened. So I think we go forward slowly, I shouldn't say slowly, but go forward with a marked progress. We've got options available to us that a while, 2 weeks ago, we didn't have. Thank you.
Okay, Dick.
Thank you. I expect that my vision for the civic campus will evolve along with the planning process. Right now, the civic planner that we contract with is studying the project and is going to make a recommendation back to the board. At that time, I think the evolution will really begin. As Phil alluded to, the new project that came to us off of Jefferson Street offers an interesting nuance because it'd be a good place for the senior center to move to. Also, there's an option to purchase the bowling alley if we decide that we want to use that property also. The whole process again is just kicking off, and so it'll bear fruit as we move forward. Thanks.
Doug?
Would you repeat the question, just to make sure I have it right?
Could you tell us your vision for the civic campus?
Okay. Well, there's two aspects to this. The first aspect is the space saving that would take place if the library, the municipal hall, and the senior center, perhaps the youth center, shared space. There would be more space available for groups who need space on an occasional basis instead of all the time. The other part of it is more about programming. If you have these services and programs in the same space, you have the possibility of synergy taking place. Now, sometimes it's been said senior citizens don't want to be around kids that much, but there are possibilities where kids could learn from seniors and seniors could benefit from their interactions with kids. I see that as a possible way that the space could not only save money, but would also be more likely to increase the sense of community that we have in the village.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jerry, your turn.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
I'll raise my hand.
Okay.
So what's really great about having a panel of people looking at a problem like the civic campus or an opportunity is the way I like to look at it, is you get a lot of different perspectives. And I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think to some extent it's about fiscal responsibility. I think to some extent it's about planning and inviting the community to be part of this process and get the community's input. This is your central campus, after all. And I do think part of it has to do with the potential for synergies when you do put public agencies in close proximity to one another. The youth center, the library, and the senior center are pretty great examples. I was looking at this flag behind us when I was sitting in the audience and recognizing that the village was formed in 1841. It took 100 years to build this village hall. This village hall was the central campus. It housed the food pantry, the senior center, and the library at one time in village administration. It's done us well. But I do think that when you look at where we are historically in the economy, now is the time for the residents of the village of Oregon to invest in the next 100 years, and this building isn't going to take us there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jerry, now we get to you.
Thank you.
When will Lincoln Road be upgraded?
I think that the town board spoke pretty accurately when they said it's going to depend on the build-out of the Bergamot. When that reaches 85%, well then the road becomes a negotiating process that will involve the village and the Bergamot officials.
I don't know. but I don't think it's gonna happen in the next couple of years. There's other priorities that the village is already looking at for construction of highways. One of the big projects in 2017 is a proposed completion of Perry Parkway so that people from Janesville can access the high school without going down Oak Street and Lincoln Street rather. So there's other things that are being programmed and scheduled for the next couple of years that may delay the Lincoln Road project.
Jeff?
You know, I don't know is the best answer so far that I've heard, because the variables are they're undeterminable. You can't really figure out when Bergamont's gonna be built out to where it's gonna be built out, where it needs to be built out. What I can say without being repetitive is we've looked at several roads in the village and roads that are currently owned by the county are gonna have to transition to the village, and we've done our best to try to prioritize those roads and make sure that we're thinking through what needs to be done before the village takes ownership of those roads. And so it is a deliberate process, and to some extent it's a slow process. There is some forecasting involved, but in terms of what date Lincoln Road will be developed, I don't know.
Bill?
Never. I can say that tongue in cheek. Bergamot needs to be built out. Lincoln Road is not a high priority for the village. Within the village we have, like I said earlier, North Perry Parkway has to be redone. We have village streets, South Main, Elm Street, Washington and State Street have lead services. For us, Lincoln Road is not a high priority right now, sorry to say. I wish there was. I know we plow it, we take care of that, but in the past, a few years ago when I was on the board, people in the village were wondering why their streets and main thoroughfares were not being plowed. Well, there was a couple of big snow drifts out on Lincoln Road that the township had to get out of the way first. So as far as plowing goes, that gets taken care of first. As far as any upgrades, it's anybody's guess. Thank you.
Okay, Doug, this is one more question and then the final, right?
I think this goes
Two
to
more
Jerry.
questions? Okay.
Doesn't go to Jerry?
No, Jerry just had that one. Doug gets this one. Oregon has an underused business park. How can the village work with the Chamber of Commerce best to expand job opportunities in Oregon that pay $15 an hour?
Well, part of the problem with the business park is that there's a limited amount of space. It was available, I think, originally for heavier industries like the cement plant. But a lot of the growth in the village workforce has been in services. It's been taking place in restaurants and other businesses that serve the needs of the community. So I think there's been an effort. We've had prospective customers who wanted to relocate and for a variety of reasons have not. But the land is still available for those industries that would choose to locate in that area of the village.
Jeff?
I would probably come at this from a different perspective. For businesses to relocate to a community, they need a workforce. For us to have a workforce, we need to be able to provide affordable housing for that workforce to live in. So I really think that our focus right now needs to be on available affordable housing for the low and moderate income families. I think we need to continue to focus on the investment that we're making in our schools. And if we can do both of those things very well, we will get the attention of businesses, and then it's just about where do we put them. And to Doug's point, I don't know that the business park that we have right now is going to be the spot. I think in my own mind, it possibly might be out towards the east or towards the west. And we haven't really talked at all about setting up a TIF district and a business park in either of those two directions.
Bill?
The business park as it stands right now, the lots that are available are too small or too wet. Mike Grace has said in the past, he's had businesses question the size of the acreage out there, and normally they need more acreage than what's available out there. Lycon kind of has a stranglehold on anything going to the west because a lot of their land along Coosac Parkway to the west is owned by Lycon. What's available in the center, if you drive out there, that used to be what we call Harvey Finch's Bull Farm. Used to be a wet spot. Kids used to duck hunt out there. That's what we're dealing with. As far as $15 an hour, that's going to have to be taken in stages. Affordable housing in the village of Oregon right now is going to be tough to come by unless it's government subsidized. Duplex just came up on South Main, $1,600 a month, one side of the duplex. Somebody making $15 an hour can just barely afford that for 2 weeks of paycheck. So it's gonna be government supervised, and I don't know if the village is gonna be up to that point yet. Thank you.
Jared?
Thanks. I'm going to approach this a little bit differently. I think that the other candidates have touched on the issue very well with the current business park, much of it being unbuildable at this point, the parts that are left. On the north, we're hemmed in by Fitchburg, and on the east, as Phil indicated also, the land is getting marshy. So I guess what's left is we're infilling. As you've heard earlier today, the site off of Jefferson Street is being attempted to be developed, or they approach the village to develop a residential rental, possibly the senior center on the bottom. On Main Street, North Main Street, where the Methodist Church used to be, there's a housing development that's an assisted living development that is possibly going in, and we're trying to infill the waterfall property with a hotel, and we're negotiating with that right now. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, you get the next one. Oregon residents have been waiting for the village to connect South and North Perry Parkway. Where would this improvement be on your list of village street and priorities?
South and North Perry Parkway are going to be connected. It's beyond the list. It's being worked on right now. The stormwater runoff is being moved over currently away from where it is. And this is all being coordinated in conjunction with the expansion of the high school. So it's happening as we speak.
Bill?
Same.
That project is on our capital improvement plan. The engineering is being done this year, and the actual project is expected to start, barring any unforeseen expenses by the village, will start in 2017. I was thinking about this weekend, and I thought that when this is done, Oregon will actually kind of have a beltway. You'll be able to take Lincoln Road, or not Lincoln Road, but Netherwood Road either way, and you can go in, hit Perry Parkway, and go all the way around to Alpine, and go back out to Fish Hatchery Road when that's done. Again, hopefully 2018, we'll have that completed.
Ditto.
Okay, well, this is the last question, and actually this is your closing statement, and you start with Phil.
I served on the board from 2004 to 2006 to 2014. I am running again to give the voice my feelings. My background is being a building contractor, and having worked in the Oregon area, I've met a lot of people. I listened to the concerns. I've been on a lot of communities that Jerry Blank has been, and same with Dr. Brett down here. I enjoy giving back to the community. I feel it's my obligation to help where I can. Thank you.
Jerry?
I decided to pursue public service quite a while ago. I had a 36-year career as a governmental accountant. I've been on the village board for 14 years, and I've been on the village board now for 4 years. I'm proud to say that during my time on the village board, services, tax levy, fund balance, and debt have been maintained and made stable. And that's in spite of mandated property tax caps. The business community is viable and growing. We're using TIF very cautiously, but yet it's definitely helping the business community. And in 2006, we reconstructed the downtown. And all that has been done without a property tax spike. So I'm offering to serve again. Hopefully, I will get elected again because there are a lot of projects that I want to see through. That we discussed here, the Perry Parkway extension. The street improvements have to continue. It's $700,000 last year. We're gonna keep going with that. We're working on a project with the high school to move the stormwater out of the north side of the village. We have to move the compost site. I don't know how many of you use that, but that, when we put Perry Parkway through, that's gotta move, and we've got a, I believe, the new public works director has a spot for that. We're negotiating with a hotel. We're negotiating with a residential housing developer. We're negotiating with a assisted living developer. And again, as we spoke earlier, we have a civic campus plan to bring to fruition. I have a core belief that you should leave your personal feelings at the door, and when you vote on an issue, you should cast your vote to benefit the majority of the residents of the village. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug?
I have to make a confession that I've learned, I know now more about how village operates than I did 2 years ago. One of the things that's I've noticed that the village does reasonably well, maybe government, this is true, generally true, is that it works pretty good at solving or working on short-term problems. One of the things that it's not as good at is working on long-term problems, because planning for the future takes effort, it takes money, it takes a focus away from the immediate needs of the population. But I think we owe it to ourselves and to those who come after to also be concerned about the village of Oregon in the future. So I would like to make some effort in the next 2 years to put some effort and thought to think about and perhaps begin some initial planning for issues that may affect the village of Oregon in the future years. So that will be my roadmap for the next 2 years if I am reelected, and with your help, I will be so. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah?
So I'm a servant leader, and that's an extension of my faith. That's my whole life. So whether I'm at work or whether I'm in my community or whether I'm serving the nation in the Marine Corps, it's all about serving for me. To me, there's no higher calling, and that's why I run for the village board, and that's why I'm running for the village board right now. I agree with Doug. Somebody asked me a question the other day what the greatest opportunity is for the village, and my first response was, we don't think about what we want and where we want it, but we do a really good job of dealing with things when they come to us. And there's an emerging trend right now, and that's the growth of the low to moderate income household that's going to become a bigger issue for the village of Oregon, and already is a very big issue in Dane County. The number of our kids on free reduced lunch has almost tripled in the last 10 years, and Chris has got better stats on that. She'll probably talk to it later. So if I got tripled wrong and it's only doubled, it's still a big number. But we're not necessarily dealing with it because it's not coming to us. We need to go to it. So in the next 2 years, what I hope to do is I hope to bring that vision of servant leadership to the village of Oregon. I hope to try to engage and invite more people to be part of the process. It shouldn't just come down to 7 people that come and sit at the board once a week on Mondays. We all need to be involved in our community and in the direction that our community goes. So I hope to be an advocate for that. And again, champion the projects that Jerry talked about. In the time I've been on the board, I think we've done an excellent job completing the bike trail. That is going to be it's going to be a jewel in our crown if it isn't already. We did a great job with public-private investment in the downtown and the work that's been done to make those beautiful buildings viable, thanks to the passion of local residents and the willingness of the village government to partner. A great job with the water tower, again, thanks to Randy Glish and his passion, but the village's willingness to partner, and that exact formula is what's going to carry the village of Oregon forward for the next 2 years. So I hope to have your vote on April 5th and your support as we go through this together.
Thank the candidates.
Okay, we'll finish up with school board candidates. Would you like to come up? And are there any other questions out there for school board that we haven't selected? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead.
Okay, our first question comes from Daniel
introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is our conversation with the school board candidates, Daniel Kraus, Krista Flanagan, and Uriah Carpenter. And welcome to you all. Thank you for coming. I'm going to ask Daniel's first question, and it's basically an introduction and why are you running this position?
Okay, thank you. My name is Dan Kraus, and I'm running for a second term on the Oregon School Board, and I would appreciate your vote. I live in the village here with my 2 kids, who are both in Oregon schools. My daughter's in the 5th grade. My son is a junior right now, and they've gone through their whole school careers here in Oregon. I'm looking forward to many more years of my kids in the Oregon School District. I am a veteran of the U.S. Army. I'm still in the Army Reserves at this time. I'm a major in the JAG Corps. I started my Army career in 1986 as a medic, and now I'm an attorney for the Army Reserves. I have a Juris Doctorate degree, which is just a law degree. I've also got a Master's of Arts in Philosophy and a Bachelor's in English and Political Science. I've served, like I say, on the school board for 3 years now. I've learned tons, and there's a lot more that I would like to do for the next 3 years, and I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. My husband Scott and I have lived in Oregon for the last 17 years, and we have 2 kids who are currently in school. My daughter is a freshman, and my son is a 4th grader. Personally, I have a bachelor's degree from UW-Madison and a master's degree in management from Indiana State University. I have 20 years of private and nonprofit experience in fundraising, marketing, and management, and 18 years of experience actually on 3 different boards, where both required listening, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills, which I think relate directly to the work of this board. My current involvement in our schools, I'm a reading and writing volunteer at Elwood Knoll Elementary. I'm a Schools of Hope tutor at OMS. I was the parent representative of the OMS referendum design team, and I'm currently working with a group of parents to help the district address basic needs issues for our kids. I'm asking for your vote because I believe my experiences can be helpful on the school board in how we approach, understand, and address issues. And as we work together to provide an educational experience for our kids that's safe, acknowledges varied learning styles, and recognizes the highly significant role of teachers in student achievement.
Thank you. Uriah?
Hi there, Uriah Kirkner. I've been living in the village for about 20 years. I've worked at, I call it software nerd for Wyden Enterprises in Madison for the last 21 years. I'm married to Jeannie Carpenter. You may know her. She's on the village board. We met when we went to UW-Platteville together. I have a daughter who just recently graduated from high school here. She went to all of the grades here, starting in kindergarten. I've been an 8-year member of Oregon Rotary, president for the last 2 years. A longtime member of People's Church, the Methodist Church out on Alpine. I've been on the trustees and finance committees there. And then personally, there's 3 C's that describe me: cheese, coffee, and carbs.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Krista, we'll start with you. What do you, as a candidate for school board, see your role in regard to the voters and the people of the district?
First of all, I think I'm a voice for the voters and the people of the district. I think it's very important that the school district and school board members really invite input. Personally, throughout this last month of campaign, I've met with had more than 50 individual meetings with teachers in our district, with parents, with community members, asking people their perspectives. What are we doing really well in this district? What are our challenges? What are the things that we should be focusing on? I think that is a real critical role of the board. Looking at research and education, asking teachers and valuing their expertise about what we need to be doing in this district. So I think that piece is very, very critical to be a very good school board member.
Okay, thank you. Right?
Could I hear that question again, please?
Okay. What do you, as a candidate for school board, see your role in regard to the voters and the people of the district?
I really see the role of the school board as it's a way to set policy and overall direction for the district. We electors vote us to make important decisions on their behalf, and they expect us to consider all the parties involved, that we're doing the best, we're using our best judgment for everyone's behalf within the district.
Thank you. Daniel?
What's my role regarding the voters and the members of the district? The role of school board and school board member is to make sure that our kids get the best education that they can within the confines of the budget that the district will give us, the district and the state. It's a balancing act because there are a lot of things that we would like to have for our kids, our students, but not necessarily things that we can afford. So it's a tightrope that we walk because our major constituents really are the kids, but we must always take into account the voters and the members of the district who don't necessarily have kids, and how we can serve everyone by creating the best schools that there are. Thanks.
Thank you. Krista? Oh, I had, sorry. I told you, that's all right. Okay, this is New Jersey, Ryan. How will you prepare the community to pass the much-needed teacher compensation referendum, a problem driven by the Wisconsin legislature?
That's going to come down to having what I'll loosely term a story around why that referendum is important to all members of the district, not just residents who have kids in school, and not just the teachers and staff who will see some of the benefits of that. We have a lot of compression in salaries within teachers that have been hired within the last 8 years, and I think that might be a focus that would be useful to apply there.
Daniel?
I understand the question is how do we prepare the community for the upcoming referendum? And the way that we do it is just to tell the story. That's the story that's happening. And the story that's happening right now is we are set for a teacher shortage that's coming very quickly. In fact, we're starting to see it right now. There's fewer teachers than what we need, and we are in a very competitive area with Verona, Madison, Sun Prairie, Wanakee, etc. We're all looking for the best teachers in the state, and we want to be able to get them here in Oregon. The funding that we've gotten from the state has gone down and down and down, and now we just have to tell the story about how, if we want to have the best schools, we as a community need to make sure that happens. And that's the story that we need to tell, and I think if we tell it long enough and enthusiastically enough, I think that we will have what we need for our teachers. Thanks.
I agree with both of them in terms of telling a story. I think it's also really important that we show people in terms of the highly significant role of teachers in student achievement, that is one of the most critical factors in our students achieving. I also think we need to do a little bit more work on the plan. I've seen the plan, it's a very viable plan, but it's not just compensation, it's also about professional development and really looking at our teachers as educators that also want to learn, and so I think that's a really, really important part of the plan as well as compensation. And then assigning financials to the plan so we can also work with the community in terms of what is the plan going to cost, what does it take to get into the plan, and what does it take to sustain the plan. And I think we have to have an open and honest conversation with the community about that and really talk with them about the value of what we can do together, and that our schools are really one of the most important pieces of our community.
Okay, thank you. Daniel, you get this one? What are your thoughts about the number of standardized tests students are required to take and the amount of time they've taken? And how do you think standardized test results should be used?
Standardized tests are they're a bugaboo. They're something that we all look at the results of, and we're all very interested to see when we get the results of. And Oregon does very well in standardized tests. But the question is about how much time do we spend on those standardized tests, because we can't get to all the curriculum that we would otherwise be able to get to if we weren't taking those tests, and in some cases preparing to take those tests. I would like to see us develop our own tests in Oregon. We've got the teachers, the administrators, we've got everything that we need. But in that case, unfortunately, we would not be able to be ranked in the newspaper and show everyone how our kids are learning and better than most of the schools in the state. So it's a balancing act. We spend too much time testing. The kids aren't learning as much as they would, but to pull out of the testing would be a detriment to us right now.
My answer is pretty short, just in addition to what Dan said. I think when you're focusing on student achievement, that tests can be a way in terms of looking at mastery of subject and competence. However, though, when we're spending time teaching to the test, when we're spending resources that are already dwindling for our school district, and it's a test that changes every year, that's really problematic. And so I do think we have to look at, and which we have traditionally done in Oregon, in terms of looking at how we measure our students and what is progress and what is competence, and really not focusing on the test.
Right?
I don't have a whole lot to add to what, I agree with most of what Dan and Krista said. There's, you know, I understand the principle behind it. It's nice that, you know, hey, you give the same test to every student in the United States, and you should be able to equally compare how they're doing. Real life really doesn't work like that, though. And so it just becomes a self-defeating circle of teachers trying to teach the test. And really, the kids really kind of get the short end of the stick.
Okay, thank you. Krista, this one is yours. Could you explain what the balanced calendar is and what it would do for the school and the community?
Sure. I've read a lot of the research in terms of what balanced calendar means, and it's really meant to address a summer slide where kids' achievement goes down, and where it really hurts is more of our at-risk students in terms of poverty level kids, where the slide is more decreased. And I'm also aware that a lot of school districts are moving to the balanced calendar. Here in Oregon, I've been working with a group of parents to help the district address basic need barriers for our kids, and really looking at those things that are hurting our kids. And I know there are also, through the conversations I've had, there are a lot of pilot projects that are currently being done through our school district in terms of school on Saturdays, looking at things that we can do with summer school, looking at things that we can do to help kids learn, and looking at the classroom day. So I'm really more in favor of looking at incremental steps rather than taking a huge left turn to really look at a balanced calendar approach at this time. That let's look at, see what the pilot projects are that are working, and see if we can expand those.
This is a really interesting issue to me. I don't, I think, really know a lot of the underlying detail about it. Historically, particularly in Wisconsin, our summers are so short. People don't want to, kids don't want to go to school in the summer, and that's a lot of families take vacations then. But over time, maybe it is something that the school district could progress toward, instead of having 3.5 months in the summer, having closer to 2 months in the summer. Again, this is a topic that I'd really love to dive in more if I make it onto the board.
Thank you. The balanced calendar, as I understand it, and there's different versions of it, is that there are more breaks, but shorter breaks during the school year for kids. So there's the same amount of days in the school calendar, but those days are spread out throughout the entire year, including the summer, so that there's more like a 3-week summer break, maybe a 4-week summer break. And this has been shown in some studies to get kids to keep progressing through the years, so that they don't spend the first month or 2 of their next year going over what they learned the last year, so that it can be a smooth progression. That's the summer slide that we've talked about. And we've been talking about this in the district for some time now. It's an interesting topic, and maybe it's something that we can try at one school. The problem with that is families have kids at more than one school, and that would just wreck their vacation plans. So we're still looking at it. It's interesting, nothing that we're doing right away. Thanks.
Okay, Uriah, you get this question. This is about staff-student ratio. The district has traditionally tried to keep this ratio within certain bounds. For example, 1 teacher for every 23 students in kindergarten classes. Recently, this ratio has been pushed outside those limits for some schools and classes. With the current teacher shortage and budget constraints, how do you propose to keep this ratio within acceptable bounds?
That's a really difficult question to answer within a minute. And I'm not sure I really can. This is simply an area that I need to learn being on board, tackling and hearing all of the discussions that occur with those types of decisions.
Okay, thank you. Dan?
Would you read that again, please? Sorry.
The district has traditionally tried to keep the staff-student ratio within certain bounds. For example, 1 teacher for every 23 students in kindergarten classes. Recently, this ratio has been pushed outside those limits for some schools and classes. With the current teacher shortage and budget constraints, how do you propose to keep this ratio within acceptable bounds?
That is one of the hardest things that we've been working on. It's all about budgets, really. In order to have the classes that we want, we need more teachers. In order to get the student-teacher ratio into where it should be, we've got to have more teachers. Another teacher bumps up the budget. Another, if they're a beginning teacher, say about $50,000 or a bit more because of insurance, etc. And our budgets are really tight. If we're going to just take that out of our savings, which luckily we have some, then that's going to have to come out every year if we have a new teacher every year. We're trying to work this. We've let the administration know, and they've known for a long time, and they are very good at this, that this is a priority of the school board. This is what we want to see, and hopefully next year the 1st and 2nd grade will be back in line. Unfortunately, we had some problems this year. Thanks.
Couple thoughts on that. I think we know that engagement is really key to kids learning, and the lower student to staff ratio, the higher the engagement can be. And so what I look at that is I think the board really has to look at priorities. What are the priorities and how do we budget accordingly? And I think we also have to look at our open enrollment policies. I know deadlines of open enrollment really impact the student-staff ratio, but I think we have to look really critically at what we're doing with open enrollment because we know that a student-staff ratio is really critical for student engagement and achievement.
This is the closing statements, right? One more question? Okay. I never get that. Okay, let me see what we have here. Okay. Daniel, we start with you. What are your ideas for handling the prevalent alcohol and drug issues?
The alcohol and drug issues we've been talking about a lot this past few months. It hasn't been talked about at the board level for probably the 2 years that I was on the board before this year. We've been working on a lot of other things. There are serious problems. One of the flashpoints that a lot of people are talking about is drug dogs in the school. And I agree with our municipal judge that that's not the only issue is the drug dogs in the school. We've got, if we're going to bring the drug dogs in, might be fine, but we've got to do it as part of a comprehensive plan. And the plan has got to be to make the students successful, not to punish them, not to put them in jail. We want to keep drugs out of the school. We are looking at this. We've got a task force that's working on it, and the drug dogs are probably going to be coming in, though we haven't voted on that yet. Thank you.
I think the district has an obligation to provide an environment that's conducive to learning and help our kids that need help. Based on the Dane County Youth Assessment, we know that we have an issue with alcohol, drugs. I think that's been a hot point, but what we also really need to look at in that study is mental health and anxiety issues, and really start looking at cause and effect in terms of, does anxiety and mental health also add to drug and alcohol? So I think we really need to spend some time on mental health of our students and really looking at those issues, and then also address this as a comprehensive issue where drug dogs may be a tool, but we really have to look at drug, alcohol abuse, and also mental health issues with that.
I agree with everything that they said. I think something schools could help with here is more engagement with parents, particularly at high school level. Dealing with how do you keep your kids away from drugs and alcohol. Unfortunately, we have too many parents that are sort of laissez-faire, and that I think is counterproductive for the students that fall into that trap.
Very good. Now to close the statements. Krista, we'll start with you.
I want to thank Oregon Area Progressive for hosting this forum, and thank you for being here today. I'm running for Oregon School Board because I believe in the power of education and the doors and windows it opens for our kids. I have a strong commitment to our school district and know the value of working together to make sure our students have an educational experience that sets them on a path to their future, that makes our educators feel valued and what they're doing makes a difference, and that families trust for providing an environment conducive to learning, and the community believes the district is a responsible steward of its resources. As a board member, I think it's important to be involved in our schools. If you've heard my involvement in our school, and I also have 2 kids that are currently in school. Currently, only 2 of our 7 school board members have kids in school, so I'd like to see a better balance of that. I'm asking for your vote because I'll work hard, I'll listen, I'll seek input, and I'll invite collaborations, and I believe my experiences can be helpful in how we approach, understand, and address issues like student health and safety, teacher support, student achievement, and community collaboration and partnerships. So I'm asking for your vote on April 5th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Uriah?
Thanks again to the OAP for hosting this. It's been enjoyable being here. I'm running because I'm really a strong believer in public schools, are really the backbone, or really the backbone of a strong community. I tend to think of myself as a logical, rational, pragmatic thinker. I think that would be a benefit to bring to the board. I'm really, truthfully, a introvert, so being up in front of everyone here is a little, interesting. But I've always been really someone who likes to do well in their community. Everything from cleaning up Christmas lights to working the election polls to hosting a monthly euchre game at the Firefly. I've really enjoyed my time in Oregon Rotary as a way to really get involved in the community, and I really have to thank that group of people for welcoming me into serving our community. And with that, I'd just say I'd be very happy if you would consider supporting me in the upcoming election and to really help us build a district of true excellence.
Daniel?
Thank you, Diane, and thanks to the League of Women Voters for sending you today. Also, thanks to the Oregon Area Progressives. Once again, my name is Dan Kraus. I'm running for the Oregon School Board again. This would be my second time, and I would appreciate your vote. Some of the things that I would like to see happen in the next 3 years are, of course, the referendum that we are going to have in November for teachers and other salary. And I want to use the rest of my time to tell a little bit of story about that. There has been some talk in this state and elsewhere about teachers taking up too much of our public money, being paid too much, being coddled, having too many benefits, etc. But for their education level, they really are not paid too much. Now, about this referendum, it's going to be asking for tax money from the voters in our district. And that's a very difficult thing to do. Because we want to be good stewards of the tax money. But we are not giving all the teachers a raise. though it would be giving quite a few teachers a raise. What we would be doing actually is spreading out the difference between the lowest paid and the highest paid. Because there were times when teachers got reasonable steps and grade upgrades. And now the ones at the highest end of the scale are actually higher than the highest that we are proposing in the current proposal. So we just want to take all the people who are down at the bottom of the scale and stretch them out, because teachers really haven't gotten a raise in 5 years. And they actually got a cut in pay one of those years, quite a decent cut in pay. So that's the story I want to tell, and I'd like to be able to work on that through the next election cycle. Thanks.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, and thank you, Diane. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate that you're here. And if you know people who are interested in local elections and the candidates who are running for them, please make sure that you let them know that this is being filmed by Local Access Cable, the WOW station, so they can see what candidates have said by watching that. I don't know when it will be aired, but I'm sure it'll be on their schedule. We have some refreshments at the back. A few of the candidates did have to leave, but most of them are still here if you want to speak to them personally. And again, thank you for coming out today.